Hi Jackie, how are you?
Hi there, Rosie. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Good, yeah, fine. Enjoying the weekend, and just thinking about. Obviously, we spoke last week, and the World Piano Day is going to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just thinking about all of the things that we've been talking about and the commonalities. But before we jump into, obviously, there's one main sort of common theme that we're going to talk about, which is music and dementia. But before I jump into that, can you just tell us a little bit more about your background in terms of music?
Yeah, sure. So, well, I mean, I grew up with music. My father was a music teacher, and from a very, very early age, it was kind of apparent that I was quite musical. I think the first musical instrument I played was the radiator, and that was a harp. And then I made a drum kit out of pots and pans and xylophones out of pencils. Probably at about the age of 5, I started having piano lessons. Maybe a bit before, because we had a piano in the house, and I was always sat at it, making, just just banging the keys, I'm sure. I started having proper piano lessons probably around the age of 5, through to my teens, and I had a music teacher, and I got up to, I think, about grade 6 or maybe 6 teenage years, and it tailed off as I was getting a bit older, because I was playing classical music and I was probably a typical teenager, and I wanted to do more pop stuff, and so being on the sort of classical music side of things as a teenager, I sort of started turning my back on that. Piano's always been my go-to instrument. I did used to play the violin, it's always, I play a little bit on the guitar as well, but it's always been the piano. That I've always had a keyboard in my life. I've never not had a keyboard in my life. So that's pretty much me, with music wise, really. And at the moment, I use a keyboard with a home studio. So I use Logic Pro, and any of the compositions that I put together are from a keyboard onto the Logic Pro.
Wow. And do you compose quite a bit now?
Yes, I mean, I've had I do sometimes some Metapop competitions. So that's pretty much, they give you an idea and you take the stems, and then you go on to sort of create a piece from it. But then you have to mix it and mastering it, and that's the sort of thing that I enjoy doing. But the thing that I really enjoy doing is the composition. So I've always got a tune in my head. I've got lots of short compositions which I'll start popping on my music Instagram. But yeah, I'm always making music. That's my thing.
Wow. In terms of your own well-being, because obviously we're going to talk about people living with dementia and how music can support their well-being. But I guess for you, how important is music to you in terms of your well-being?
I would say it's incredibly important. Like I said, I've always had a keyboard, and also I tend to have a guitar as well. But if things are difficult, or if I'm feeling a bit down, or even if I'm feeling really happy, escaping into music is a wonderful thing. And I find it, for me personally, it's therapeutic. It's just something that I love. I particularly like, if I am playing the keyboard, when you get lost in the music and you're not thinking what your fingers are doing, that's when I find that I really benefit. I can feel, perhaps it's the vibrations, etc. I feel very relaxed and at one with what I'm doing.
You're in that kind of flow state, which I think
Yeah,
so many people that are listening can really relate to as well, in terms of performance, but also in terms of just listening and kind of, yeah, getting lost in the music, which is such a nice thing to do,
yeah,
especially at the moment when kind of
yes,
a bit disconnected, but you can lose yourself or connect with yourself through music. So
yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit more about me, and then we'll come on to kind of, yeah, where the two of us really connect, I guess.
Yeah.
So my background is in music and dementia care. So I founded Musica, which is a not-for-profit organisation which supports the well-being of people living with dementia and their caregivers through music. I founded that 11 years ago now, when I was in the last year of my music degree. So I studied at Bath Spa. And basically I set Musica up because I was volunteering at a local hospital. I was playing on the elderly care wards, and I'm really seeing kind of the benefits that live music could afford for patients living with dementia, in terms of how it, you know, significantly improved their mood. It would bring back memories, and then out of those memories, sort of there'd be an increased communication in terms of patients talking with one another, with staff gaining a deeper understanding of the individuals. So kind of from seeing that firsthand, I then set up Musica with this idea to take music into hospitals and care homes to support well-being. And then alongside sort of growing Musica, I mean, we now have 30 odd musicians that work with us. Obviously, we've been massively impacted by COVID, but we do a lot of training and coaching for staff and for family caregivers. But alongside setting up Musica, I've really followed it along with my academic interests. So I have a master's degree in music psychology, and I'm finishing a PhD in music sociology. And all of my academic work has been around music and dementia care, mainly in hospitals, but there's a lot of crossovers in terms of care home environments too. So that's kind of a little bit about me as well, in terms of my interest and my background. And on a musical level, I play the clarinet and saxophone, and I'm learning the drums, I've been learning the drums before COVID, but during lockdown, that's been my sort of really nice creative project, is working on the drums. But obviously we had a chat last week, and we discovered the main thread that sort of connected the two of us was music and dementia care. So would you mind just telling us a little bit about sort of your own experience of dementia?
Yes. I mean, it was interesting that we came together, and it was for the World Piano Day, and interestingly, dementia was the thing that connected us. So that's good fortune. Yes, dementia has affected my family quite profoundly. My father is really at the late stages of dementia, and really should have been. We were looking for perhaps a care home for him just before this time last year, before lockdown. And because of lockdown, it's kind of stifled our plans for getting him into somewhere that he could get cared for properly. So we were trying to manage him with his dementia. He was getting more and more agitated, more and more aggressive. And we had carers going in to the flat to help care for both my mum and dad. And dad was getting really quite agitated. And I saw and I read about, and I thought of this myself because he loves classical music, getting him a music box. And I found a dementia music box, which basically I was able to download a whole load of classical music, a few hours worth, onto this music box. And all he had to do was just open the lid and close the lid, and he was able to do that. And the times that I went in and the classical music was playing, he was like a completely different person. He was so settled and so relaxed by the music that was probably triggering a relaxed state in him, because it took him back to memories of when he wasn't that, or when he was younger. So yeah, it had a really a very, very positive effect on his mood and consequently his well-being.
See, that's really powerful. I think that you've kind of really hit the nail on its head, in terms of you used music that you knew was beneficial for him. So a lot of the time we talk about meaningful music, so not just kind of playing music for music's sake, but actually taking the time to select the music that you know will resonate with the individual. which is really important. And it's for, in particular for care staff, it's really powerful to include family members like you being involved in choosing your dad's music. So a lot of the time we encourage care staff to bring families in, because you can be part of their care in that regard, because you are taking care of their well-being, you're choosing the music. And definitely in terms of agitation, so a big part of my PhD is looking at agitation as a kind of that it stems from unmet social needs. So I look at it from that angle, and then looking at how music and meaningful music can help, like you're saying, can help to connect the individual with themselves, reminding them that they are still an individual, they have all of these memories, bringing back those positive feelings. Because when a lot of us, we know this through our own music listening, you can hear a certain piece that reminds you of a memory, and those feelings will come back. So that then, in terms of agitation, can help to reduce the experience of agitation. It can help to connect the individual with their caregivers. So members of staff can get to know an individual that much deeper if they have an understanding of their musical preferences, which is, I find, really fascinating.
Yes, yeah, that's and interesting. The caregivers that came in were really surprised and did use the music box. If he was becoming agitated, they'd turn it on, and he'd settle quite quickly.
Brilliant. Now, because anyone listening might be caring for someone living with dementia, or someone in their family might have dementia. Is there one specific website where you can get the music boxes, or sort of how did you come across it, I guess?
I searched dementia care and things that help with dementia. So there is a website, so you can get the dementia clocks, which are big, and it has the day. And I think it's called a dementia music box, and I got it from Amazon. And yes, you plug it into USB and download all the music, and you can set the volume. So obviously I didn't want it overpowering. I wanted it just to sort of be in the background, that conversations could be had, but it's actually more of an atmosphere than it is, overpowering. And yeah, so I think they come in different colours. I think there's a green one, a red one, and a blue one. But I'm pretty sure I found it on Amazon, and it's called a dementia music box.
Brilliant, because I think lots of people listening will probably be interested in that too. And you mentioned about creating an atmosphere. That's really key as well, in terms of, especially if someone is new to a care home environment, or in a hospital, for example, where it's really disorientating. Music can be a great way to transform the environment. So creating an environment that is good for the individual's well-being. You can create certain environments or certain images through the music that you listen to. And that, lots of the research that I talk about in terms of people living with dementia, it's applicable to all of us, really. I don't know whether you use music in that way, Jackie, but I often will listen to music that will take me away to sunny beaches, or kind of take me to different places. And for example, when I'm working, I like to work in a coffee shop environment. So actually, when I'm working on my writing, I put on coffee shop playlists on Spotify, because it then creates that environment.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I do use music. I listen to music a lot. I mean, I used to do a lot. Well, I will do when we get back to normal. I drive for a few hours. I'm in the car quite a lot, so I'll listen to music. And the great thing is about in the car, I can have it as loud as I like. Yeah. And if I'm running, I'll listen to quite motivational runs. But then sometimes, if I just want to chill out, just having some music, sort of chill out tunes and piano music. I mean, piano, there's something about piano music and the piano that I think, because there's so many notes that can harmonize and work with each other, I find that incredibly relaxing. And almost thought-provoking. It kind of takes you away from where you are, and you're almost visualizing the piano keys playing.
That's really fascinating, and it's got me thinking actually about and this seems such a grey area because people have very different opinions on this, but there is quite a bit of research to show in dementia care, listening to single piano music, so any kind, like depending on the style, it might be covers of songs or whatever, but single piano music is really beneficial at meal times. Because it can help people to eat slower, to kind of digest their food really well. They'll stay at the table for longer, so they're more likely to take on more food and more fluid, which is really important. So it just suddenly reminded me of that research, that, you know, it can obviously piano music can be used for relaxation, or I mean, obviously depending on the style, it's kind of can energize you. But it's really fascinating, the research around using it at meal times in dementia care. And yeah, people have different opinions. Some people say no music at meal times because it's too distracting. But actually there is a lot of research to show if it's that background music where it's not going to distract you, it's not making you want to get up and dance or whatever, but actually it can give you that kind of relaxed state, which can really help at meal times.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. And yes, I think, you know, if it's non-intrusive and it is in the background, it probably it has that benefit of you know, having that relaxed state during a mealtime, which is incredibly important, as you've stated.
Yeah, and then in terms of agitation, I don't know whether sort of you have experience of sundowning, but where people can become quite agitated when the sun sets. It's quite a common experience, and there again, it's kind of, if you know that there's particular triggers for, say, agitation, and maybe sunset is one of them, you can then use relaxing music, so music that is relaxing for the individual. If you use it about 30 minutes before that trigger begins, you can then help to kind of de-escalate that feeling of agitation. And piano music would be a great one, because, you know, piano music itself is such a broad area. You can definitely find, you know, there should be something that resonates with an individual to help relax them.
Yes, yeah. I mean, piano music, particularly for my father, because he played the piano, was the main music that I found that he hooked onto and relaxed with. Yes.
Has he played the piano? Like, do they have one in the care home?
Yes, they do have one in the care home. There's a funny story. Before he went into the care home, you know, he had the piano in the apartment they were living in, and invariably the night carer said that, you know, around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, she'd hear Dad playing the piano, tinkling away on the piano, which was quite interesting. But I'm not sure how much he remembers. Because it's been quite a while now that we've been able to see him. They have got a piano in the care home, and I'm hoping that, you know, he would be you know, enjoying that, but it's difficult to tell at the moment.
See, the fascinating thing is, you might find, because obviously muscle memory can still be there. So even if a person isn't sort of thinking consciously about playing the notes, you might find that the you know, the fingers know where to go, and there's that feeling, so that sort of muscle memory. The downside of sometimes of pianos in care homes is they're really out of tune.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
So just make sure it doesn't then cause agitation by being out of tune. But you might find that, yeah, the feeling of that, and I've always found that incredible, where people in late stages of dementia can still play these pieces that they've practiced over and over and over, because yeah, it's just your fingers know where to go without, I mean, I'm sure you get that when you play. I definitely do when I play the clarinet. Sometimes the worst thing can be when I think about the notes. That's when I start tripping myself up.
Very much so. I mean, I there's some pieces. There's a piece of music that I used to play. Gosh, when I was about 12, it was All Creatures Great and Small, and I did it for a competition that I think when I was about 11 or 12, and I haven't played it for years and years, and I remembered the first half of it a few weeks ago, and it's like, wow. I mean, I had to play it a few times, but the muscle memory, the more times, a few more notes, I managed to, sort of play half the piece. It was incredible.
Yeah, because it's there, and that that's why, especially in dementia care, that's why music works so well, because even it's sort of parts of the damaged brain can still be reached by music, and it's shown to be one of the only sort of forms of activities of communication that can still reach these parts of the damaged brain. And that's why it's so powerful, because your fingers can remember, it's tapping into different areas of the brain at the same time, almost like a Christmas tree. It's lighting up, it can light up different areas if you think of it like that, and that's why it's so powerful.
Yes, yeah. I'm hopefully my sister and I are visiting them. It's their 60th wedding anniversary on April Fool's Day, the 1st of April. But it would be nice to see if we can get him in front of the piano, because I think if he hasn't already found it, if we get him to find it, he's very likely to want to sit down and try and play. So I'll definitely take that on board when I see him.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. And to think in terms of connection, just how if he does play, and you might find the first time he doesn't, but at least he knows where it is. But if he does then play, he can then be entertaining the other residents, and that's just a wonderful way for them all to connect through music in this way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You have to let me know how you get on.
Yes, I will do. I mean, my dad's actually a very sociable person, and his Alzheimer's really, I mean, he really is at the far end. He barely remembers myself, my sister, and my brother, but he likes to socialise, so he likes to talk. And I think, gosh, if we can get him in front of the piano, if he hasn't already, I think he would love that. I think it'd be really beneficial for him.
It'd be really good for him. Oh, well, I think that's a wonderful place to finish on. I mean, I can see the image of it. I know it hasn't happened,
yes,
but you can just see how it could work. And like I said, the first time you might find that sort of he doesn't connect with it or whatever, but at least then he knows it's there, and the caregivers know that that's an interest as well, so they can sort of gently encourage him if it's appropriate. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. I think often when I'm doing these kind of talks about the research side, it's so much more powerful if, it's one thing to talk about the research and what the research shows, but it's another thing to actually hear, well, this is what it is in real life. This is how you've experienced it. So thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure it will have really reached so many of the people that have been listening.
Yes, and thank you very much, Rosie. I will let you know how things go with him.
Yeah, do let me know. Thank you so much, Jackie.
You're very welcome. Nice to speak to you.
You too.